And tracking the presidential race, New York Times Magazine chief national correspondent Mark Leibovich, his upcoming cover story, what do you know? All about Donald Trump and the GOP. The headline reads, "Face the Nation, Republican leaders contend with Donald Trump and the greatest identity crisis in their party's modern history." It does feel as though Donald Trump at times, Mark, is running against his own party as much as he may be running against Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. But we just heard a bit of Nora's interview in which he refers to fundraising, the idea of fundraising, and specifically the fundraising that Hillary Clinton is doing as blood money.
Yes.
What do you make of that characterization?
Well, I mean, it's something he's been saying for many, many months. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is trying to say, basically, campaign finance, is a really sick and sort of dirty part of what we do here. And she proves that every single day. I mean, he's trying to turn a weakness, which is the fact that he's being, terribly outraised and he has a lot less money to work with, into a strength, which is that, look, I'm just not playing in this game and I'm better than that and I should be thanked for it. So, I mean, I guess it's savvy on some levels. I think he'd probably prefer the $200 million, but who's to say?
But it seems as though, this is a variation on a very familiar theme now, where Donald Trump continues to play to his base. He will he will invoke victory such as the one in New Hampshire. I won in a landslide, and I didn't spend any money there, as if that suggests that the same thing will happen come November. And I realize to say the word historically is we almost should have a preface here.
In this
we
campaign,
get it that it doesn't mean anything.
Historically,
and yet, is that a strategy?
If it is, I think it's a smart one. I don't think it's playing to his. I mean, I think it's playing to a broader base. I think a lot of people can appreciate that. Look, it's. I mean, blood money. I mean, this is a dirty process. Okay, bloodsuckers. Wall Street. Wall Street owns Hillary Clinton. I mean, the political hacks in Washington. I mean, these are all institutional things that he was running against in the primaries, which he's running against now. In a sense, he's trying to put himself apart from both parties. He's saying, look, I am not politics as usual. This is a different thing. And look, I think it's going to work.
But he's still going to depend on the GOP. And as the presumptive nominee, part of being the presumptive nominee is also fundraising, not just for yourself, but for the party, for the down ballot races, for vulnerable Congress people.
Yes, historically, that's what you do. I personally don't think he cares about any of that. He doesn't care about the down ballot stuff. He doesn't care about the Republican Party per se. I think he'll go through the paces to do the minimum amount possible to sort of keep the people happy that he needs to.
But shouldn't he, if he wants to be president, doesn't he also want to be working with a Congress that has Republican majorities?
Yes. I mean, I think he'd probably prefer to. I don't think he thinks very much about that.
Okay.
I think he thinks about putting himself in the White House.
You spent a lot of time with Reince Priebus, who has walked the tightest of ropes for many, many months now. Wonderful article that captures, I think, the sense of a man barely keeping it together day after day. At one point, though, he says, and it's been a popular question to ask, whose party is this? And he said to you, Donald Trump is Donald Trump, period, end stop. The party is the party. For whom is that good?
Well, I mean, he would say that the identity of the party, lives on. It's what it's been for the last however many years. We stand for this, this, and this. We happen to have nominated someone or about to nominate someone who is a separate entity. My argument would be, no. I mean, this guy is now the face of your party. He's been the face of your party for several months. When people who are young and who are not involved in politics before think about the Republican Party now, they think about this guy. They don't think about you. They don't think about the party platform that you're going to be writing in the next few weeks. So they're trying to sort of create these separate worlds, which, I don't think is realistic. But, I mean, he seems to think that they're operating on separate planes.
We hear the GOP leadership often invoke the party of Lincoln. Now, if it is in fact the party of Trump, they also, led by Priebus, they had the postmortem following the 2012 election. They saw the demographics running away from the GOP and hiding. What does it mean now?
Well, I mean, it's sort of perverse, right? I mean, that you would sort of have an autopsy and say, we have to be a more inclusive party. We need to be more welcoming of Hispanic voters and women and young voters, then have a nominee come along and just so splendidly repel every single one of those constituencies. look, it's a major disconnect. It's the sort of head and the heart, operating at very, very different wavelengths, and it's, look, voters get to decide the nominee. I mean, that could be an argument we hear more in the next few weeks if there's any sort of effort in Cleveland to try to deny Donald Trump. But look, your party is what your voters say it is, and what the voters have said is that they want more of whatever Trump is. I mean, they're not reading any autopsy or platform to sort of.
He's a reflection of the electorate as currently constituted.
That's the way it works. Yes.
In part of your piece, you detail the various, however polite, refusals to discuss Donald Trump by virtually every major GOP leader.
Yes.
All manner of, I'm not available. You can talk to me after November 8th.
Yes. Thanks for thinking of us.
Yeah, and on.
Yes. We're going to take a pass.
And on. Paul Ryan, House Speaker, has been in an unenviable position, perhaps for him, in having to throw his support behind the presumptive nominee while being forced to criticize him by the day at this point. For all the world in the last week or two, however, he seems increasingly to be a man, without saying it, but the tone and the tenor, the body language of someone who realizes that the executive branch is gone and that protecting those majorities has to be the focus and will look to play again in 2020.
I think, I mean, they would never say this explicitly. I think that that's certainly what is driving a lot of these sort of moves. And look, like Donald Trump wants to get to the White House and doesn't care that much about down ballot stuff, Paul Ryan, I think, cares above all about keeping the House. He thinks keeping his own job. I think, deep down, he probably thinks that he could work with Hillary Clinton, especially if he's still the Speaker of the House. So, I mean, they're all, look, like everything in politics, it's self-perpetuation. It's people thinking about, how it's going to impact their own experience. And I think that that's definitely at work here.
So his statements can be toxic by the day. There's no money in the bank. He's got no support, no surrogates coming out and defending him from a Hillary Clinton speech like we saw yesterday. And yet, Quinnipiac comes out with a poll in the three major swing states, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida. And in Ohio and Pennsylvania, they're tied. So is that, again, does that speak to the idea that the electorate, he's a reflection of the people out there ready to vote?
Well, I mean, again, he thinks so. He hopes so. I mean, this is a classic case of the sports cliche where, there's like the quarterback, there was 5 interceptions and they got all these penalties, and yet they're only down a touchdown at halftime. And the announcer says, well, Coach so-and-so has to be thrilled that they're only down 7 at halftime. I mean, that's sort of where the Trump campaign is after the last 3 weeks, right? I mean, they've done so much wrong. They have so much, I mean, they should be getting blown out of the water right now. And yet, look, it's very much a ball game. And 5-6 points can swing instantly, as we've learned, in the last month. But it's, bigger deficits have been absorbed. So, I mean, I think there's going to be a sort of a new starting gun coming up pretty soon, and we'll see sort of how it all proceeds.
I want to get you out of here on this one, if only because also in the piece there are now elected Republicans who are saying that they will go for Clinton. Reince Priebus himself, about a month ago on the Sunday shows, derisively referred to his joy that this isn't Italy where you have 12 political parties where everybody fits neatly into a box.
Right.
But I wonder, with the rise of Donald Trump on the right, if you will, the rise of Bernie Sanders, however, on the left, if there's a referendum to be seen in this political cycle, might it be that the two-party system has seen its day?
Maybe. I mean, I don't think it's certainly gotten stronger after this cycle. I mean, people have been talking about the death of the two-party system in America for a long, long time. I mean, over a century. So it has endured to this point. I mean, Reince would say, look, there are 2 doors that you walk through in this country. I mean, Donald Trump, I mean, for as conservative as he might seem on some issues, has actually done a bit of an a la carte. I mean, he's actually, I think, with the last Republican candidate to stand up at a debate stage in years to say, I support certain parts of Planned Parenthood. A lot of his trade policies are very, very unpopular with
He exists on both sides of many issues in the same sentence.
He thinks he's the Donald Trump party. I mean, he would not see himself in terms of left, right.
Yeah.
He sees himself as essentially an independent candidacy that right now is being funded by the Republican Party. And, let's see if that marriage can sustain itself through November, and then, we'll worry about the rest.
A three-party system, at least here in late June. Mark, tremendous stuff. We really appreciate the time today.
Josh, pleasure. Thanks.